You're probably not bad with money. You're just playing a game nobody taught you the rules to. Right now, somewhere in the world, two people are looking at the exact same stock. One is buying, one is selling. And here's the thing, neither of them is wrong. That's the first sign that money isn't math, it's psychology. And if you don't understand what's happening inside your head, it doesn't matter how many books you read, how many spreadsheets you build, or how much you earn. You will keep repeating the same expensive mistakes. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 18 hidden traps that silently destroy financial futures. Traps that hit smart, educated, hard-working people the hardest because they're the ones most convinced they're immune. Stay until the end, because the last few traps are the ones almost nobody talks about, and they may be the most important of all. Let's go. Trap 1. You think you're logical. Here's a question. If you've never lived through a war, can you really understand what it does to how people handle money? Of course not. You can read about it, you can study it, but you'll never feel the emotional weight of someone who watched their savings disappear overnight during a crisis. And that's the problem. Every financial decision you make is filtered through your personal history, the neighborhood you grew up in, the money conversations your parents had or avoided. Whether you felt safe or scared around finances as a child. Someone who graduated from college straight into the 2008 financial crash will carry that fear for decades. Someone who got into tech stocks in the late 90s and got rich before 30 might believe risk is overrated. Same world, completely different lenses. Your experience with money is a tiny sliver of everything that has ever happened economically in human history. And yet that sliver shapes almost everything about how you invest, spend, and save. The fix? Recognize that your instincts aren't facts, they're autobiographies. Before you make a financial decision, ask, am I responding to the data or to my past? Trap 2. You think you're in control. Let's talk about Bill Gates for a second. Brilliant? Absolutely. Disciplined? Without question. But here's the detail most people skip. In the early 1970s, Bill Gates attended one of the only high schools in America with a computer terminal. At a time when computers were rare, expensive, and inaccessible to almost everyone, a teenager in Seattle had unlimited access to one. That single accidental advantage gave him years of practice before most people had ever touched a keyboard. Now consider his close friend, Kent Evans, equally brilliant. Equally obsessed with computers, he died in a mountaineering accident before finishing high school. Two exceptional minds, two wildly different outcomes, neither fully in their control. This doesn't mean effort doesn't matter. It does, but it means success and failure are not always perfectly proportional to what you deserve. Luck matters, risk matters, and pretending they don't makes you overconfident when things go right and crushes you when they don't. The lesson: be humble in success, compassionate in failure, yours and everyone else's. And when you study successful people, look for the patterns, not the personalities. Patterns repeat. Lucky circumstances usually don't. Trap 3. You believe the story, not the reality. Imagine you hear a story about a baker who wins $200 million in the lottery. Suddenly, a $2 ticket feels like a reasonable investment. Never mind that the odds are roughly 1 in 300 million. The story feels good, and when a story feels good enough, the brain doesn't bother doing the math. You don't picture the millions of people who lost. You picture yourself on the yacht. This exact mechanism plays out constantly in financial markets. Remember the crypto boom of late 2021? Thousands of new tokens launched with no real purpose, no roadmap, no foundation, just a name, a price, and a story. Get in early. This is the next Bitcoin. People didn't buy the math, they bought the dream. And by 2022, billions had quietly vanished. Before you follow any investment story, no matter how exciting it sounds, ask yourself 2 questions. Is this supported by data or just by desire? And do I trust this because it's true or because I want it to be? The most dangerous financial stories aren't lies. They're half-truths that feel so good we never think to question them. Trap 4. You think you're a spreadsheet. The perfect financial plan exists only on paper. In real life, plans encounter emotions. You build a flawless investment strategy. diversified, long-term, historically sound. And then the market drops 30% in 3 months. The news is screaming. Your friends are panicking. Your portfolio looks like a crime scene. Do you hold or do you sell? Here's the data. The stock market has historically delivered positive returns 68% of the time over any given year. Over 10 years, that rises to 88%. Over 20 years, it's essentially 100%. But none of that math saves you if fear makes you sell at the bottom. The most sustainable financial plan isn't the most optimized one. It's the one you can actually stick to when everything feels wrong. Build your strategy around who you actually are, emotions included, not around who you think a rational investor should be. Trap 5. You chase more than you need. In 2021, a 29-year-old was worth over $20 billion. His company was the second largest crypto exchange in the world. The media called him the next Warren Buffett. And then he quietly started mixing customer funds, not to survive, not to feed his family, to chase more control, more status, more admiration. He never learned the most important word in finance, enough. The problem is that enough is almost impossible to find when you're measuring yourself against others. You earn a good salary until someone at your company earns more. You buy a car you love until someone parks a better one next to yours. You feel successful until you open Instagram. The philosopher Bertrand Russell once wrote that it is impossible to escape envy through success. Even history's greatest conquerors weren't immune. Napoleon envied Caesar. Caesar envied Alexander. Alexander envied Hercules, who wasn't even real. The game has no finish line, which means the only way to win is to stop playing it. Define what enough looks like for you. Write it down. Protect it fiercely, because the most powerful form of wealth isn't money, it's peace of mind. Trap 6. You think stuff will make you admired. Here's something uncomfortable. When someone sees a Ferrari on the street, their first thought is not, wow, that person must be successful. It's, I want that car. They're not admiring the driver. They're imagining themselves behind the wheel. We buy things to impress people who are too busy imagining themselves in our things to actually notice us. Real admiration doesn't come from what you own. It comes from how you treat people, from your reliability, your humility, your character. Those things earn respect that no luxury purchase ever will. So before you spend to be seen, ask yourself, are you actually impressing anyone? Or are you spending to feel like you might be? Trap 7. You think looking rich means being rich. There's an important distinction that most people never make. Wealth is what you don't see. You see the car. You don't see the loan. You see the vacation photos. You don't see the credit card balance. You see the house. You don't see the mortgage that keeps someone awake at night. True wealth is the money that has not been converted into visible things. It's the investment that nobody knows about. The savings account that doesn't make for good Instagram content. The car you could afford to upgrade but didn't. Looking rich requires spending. Building wealth requires not spending. These two goals are in direct conflict, and in a world designed to make you spend, every ad, every algorithm, every social feed, choosing invisibility is one of the most radical financial decisions you can make. Trap 8. You fall for fear disguised as wisdom. Tell someone the market will crash, and they'll lean in, wide-eyed. Tell someone the market will grow slowly and steadily over the next 20 years, and they'll check their phone. Pessimism sounds smart. It sounds like caution, like someone is looking out for you. Optimism sounds like a sales pitch, but here's the reality. A 40% market crash makes headlines. A 140% gain over 6 years barely gets mentioned. Bad news is loud. Good news is quiet. Real optimism isn't naive. It doesn't ignore risk. It expects setbacks and still trusts the long-term direction. The next time someone warns you that everything is about to fall apart, ask yourself, is this genuine insight or is it just fear wearing a suit? Zoom out. Look at decades. That's where the real story lives. Trap 9. You think saving needs a goal. Most people save for something: a house, a car, a vacation, retirement. But the most powerful savings habit isn't attached to any goal at all. It's saving just to have options, to be able to say no to a bad situation, to have time when others don't, to wait when everyone else is forced to move. Think about a lawyer earning $250,000 a year, driving the Porsche, paying for private school, dining out 5 nights a week, living in a high-end home with a high-end mortgage. From the outside, the picture of success. Inside, one missed paycheck from disaster. When your lifestyle grows as fast as your income, you build no financial buffer. And when life changes, and it always does, you have nowhere to go. The goal of saving isn't a number. It's freedom. The freedom to handle what you didn't expect, to choose what you actually want, to live on your terms when the world stops cooperating. Trap 10. You want the gains, but not the ride. Investing isn't free. You just don't always pay with money. You pay with stress, with sleepless nights, with the gut punch of watching a portfolio drop 30% while the news screams catastrophe. And because that price is emotional, not financial, most people think they did something wrong when it happens. They didn't. Between 2002 and 2018, Netflix delivered returns of more than 35,000%. But during that same period, the stock spent 94% of the time trading below its previous all-time high. To capture that return, investors had to endure nearly constant discomfort. That was the price of admission. And most people tried to avoid it, jumping out, timing the market, chasing less volatile alternatives, and missed everything. The mindset shift. Volatility isn't a punishment. It's the fee. Accept it. Expect it. Stay in the game. Because there is no free lunch in investing, and the investors who understand that are the ones who eventually win. Trap 11. You think getting rich is the hard part. Getting rich requires boldness, risk, and optimism. Staying rich requires something far less glamorous: caution, humility, and the discipline to not blow it. These are completely different skills, and most people who learn the first set never bother developing the second. The best investors don't chase perfect results. They build systems with room to survive being wrong. They hold extra cash, not for returns, but for flexibility when chaos hits. They diversify, not because they expect every bet to win, but because they know not every bet will. And they prepare their mindset, because staying calm when everyone else is panicking is a superpower worth more than any strategy. Over the last 170 years, the United States has survived dozens of recessions, wars, crashes, and crises, and yet living standards are roughly 20 times higher than they were then. That is what real long-term optimism looks like. Trap 12. You overestimate your plan. Your plan looks great on paper. Your spreadsheet does not get laid off. It does not panic during a correction. It does not get divorced or sick or scared. You do. The most important part of any financial plan is preparing for the plan to fail. That means building in a margin of safety, not because you expect things to go wrong, but because you know some things always will. Some investors deliberately assume their future returns will be a third lower than historical averages. That single conservative assumption leads to saving more and sleeping better. If your entire financial life depends on one job, one income stream, or one big bet, you have a single point of failure. And when it breaks, everything breaks with it. As the investor Benjamin Graham once wrote, the purpose of a margin of safety is to make forecasting unnecessary. Trap 13. You underestimate the power of time. Warren Buffett is worth approximately $160 billion. More than $156 billion of that came after his 65th birthday. Let that land for a second. He didn't get rich by chasing enormous returns. He got rich by starting early and not stopping. If Buffett had started investing in his 30s and retired in his 60s, like most people consider normal, he would still be successful. You just wouldn't know his name. Because the magic of compounding isn't about genius. It's about duration, a good return, repeated consistently for a very long time without interruption. That is the formula. Think of it like an oak tree. In year 1, barely anything happens. In year 10, it looks solid. In year 50, it's massive and unmovable. Start now, stay in, let time do what no strategy can replicate. Trap 14. You ignore how rare success really is. Warren Buffett has owned hundreds of stocks over his lifetime. Nearly all of his wealth came from just 10 of them. Not 100, 10. In the broader stock market since 1980, just 7% of companies in the Russell 3000 index were responsible for essentially all of the market's net gains. Meanwhile, 40% of stocks dropped more than 70% and never recovered. This is how success actually works, not through consistent wins across the board, but through a small number of enormous outcomes that carry everything else. The implication? Stop trying to be right all the time. That obsession leads to overtrading, premature exits, and missed opportunities. Instead, focus on staying in the game. Because the rare events, the crashes, the breakthroughs, the unexpected turns, only reward the people who were still there when they happened. You only need to catch one of them to change everything. Trap 15. You buy stuff and sell your time. What if the actual goal of building wealth was never the stuff? What if it was always the time? The greatest financial reward isn't a bigger house or a nicer car. It's waking up in the morning and choosing exactly how your day goes. Not answering emails at midnight because someone else's schedule demands it. Not taking calls on a Saturday because your job owns your weekends. Not staying connected when you're supposed to be present. In 1981, social scientist Angus Campbell ran a comprehensive happiness study across the United States. His finding: a strong sense of controlling one's own life was a more reliable predictor of well-being than any objective condition measured. More than income, more than status, more than possessions. Financial freedom, then, isn't really about retiring early. It's about living life on your own terms and having the resources to protect that right. Trap 16. You expect the market to be predictable. The most important financial events of your lifetime, the ones that will shape your wealth the most, are the ones you will not see coming. That's not pessimism, that's history. Every major financial crisis of the last century was largely unexpected. Every major breakthrough in technology, in markets, in industry came as a surprise to most. History doesn't give us a map of the future. It gives us a mirror on human behavior. And what that mirror consistently shows is this: we panic during crashes. We get greedy during booms. Calm, long-term thinking is always the exception, never the default. Build your strategy not around predicting what will happen, but around surviving whatever does. Because in finance, calm beats certainty, every time. Trap 17. You forget that you'll change. 10 years ago, you were a different person. Different goals, different values, different priorities. Now picture yourself 10 years from now. What feels absolutely certain today about what you want, what matters to you, how you want to live, will almost certainly look different then. Psychologists call this the end of history illusion. We clearly see how much we've changed in the past, but dramatically underestimate how much will change in the future. If your financial plan is built entirely around who you are today, it may not survive who you're becoming. The solution isn't to stop planning. It's to build plans with flexibility built in. Moderate saving, moderate spending, moderate commitments, not too far in any single direction. Because the most flexible plans, not the most optimized ones, are the ones that survive a lifetime. Trap 18. You copy people who aren't playing your game. This is the one that gets people the most. You see someone making quick money from day trading. You follow their strategy. Your neighbor is flipping properties. You start researching real estate. That influencer just turned $10,000 into $200,000 in 6 months. You want in. But here's what you're missing. They're playing a completely different game. A day trader and a long-term investor may own some of the same assets, but their goals, their timelines, and their risk tolerance are entirely different. When you copy a day trader's moves with a long-term investor's mindset, or vice versa, you absorb all their risk without understanding their rules. The same goes for spending. When you see someone buying a luxury car or a bigger house, you don't see their income, their goals, or what they gave up to get there. Comparing yourself to their choices without knowing the full context is a recipe for financial decisions that don't serve your actual life. Know what game you're playing, know your timeline, know your risk tolerance, know what you actually want, and then have the discipline to ignore everything that doesn't fit. Here's the truth that ties all 18 of these traps together. Money is not math. It never was. It's a mirror. It reflects your fears, your beliefs, your past, and your ego back at you, and asks what you're going to do about it. The investors who win long-term aren't the ones with the highest IQ or the best software. They're the ones who understand themselves well enough to get out of their own way. Start there. If you found this useful, share it with someone who needs it, because the best financial advice you can give someone isn't a stock tip. It's a new way of thinking. See you in the next one.